Hey everybody, it's my 40-gallon waterfall tank, and tonight we are not going to take a trip around the world. I was thinking about doing it. I've been thinking about doing an around the world update for the last several days now, but I really don't feel like I've got enough to talk about to do an actual trip around the world. I do want to try to get this on camera really quick while it's happening. Look at my chocolate zebra pleco all up on the glass, way up on the top of the tank. I never see that fish up off the bottom, let alone out and in the open like that. I got some video recently of two of them that were sort of creating a cave, which I'm assuming was for spawning purposes, underneath of that big rock down there on the bottom this end of the tank, and nothing ever really came of that, so I don't know what they ever did, whether they just never really got around to it or what. But this one has really got a big fat belly on it. I don't see these out and about very often at all. I've had them for several years now. Got them from a guy who was breeding them and getting out of the business, and he sold me 4 of them. I lost one within the first couple of weeks, but the other 3 I've had for several years now. He also sold me the 40-gallon tank that is now my purple spotted gudgeon tank. If you've ever wondered what that little spot on the glass is in the back of the tank, he had it actually drilled out to have a sump in it. And then when he was done with that, he patched it up, and that's what that is. It's some kind of putty or epoxy or something in that 40-gallon tank. I'd try looking in the end here, but the end has even more algae on it than the front does. I'm actually treating this tank right now. That's not going to be done for another couple days, and when I'm done the treatment, I will be getting in there and doing a water change, so that's why I'm not too worried about getting the glass cleaned off right now. I'm really surprised how out and about this pleco is, especially with me standing here talking so loudly. There, we finally get a pretty good looking view at it. That is a chocolate zebra pleco, not to be confused with the true zebra plecos that cost ridiculous amounts of money and are just sort of black and white. Trying to get a good look at its body while it's out. I don't see anything that's really indicating it being stressed out or having any kind of issues that would cause it to get out and about on the glass like this. Again, sometimes when you see unusual behavior in a fish, it's because something's wrong. The fish is trying to get out of the water that's not right for it, or maybe it's got gill flukes, or it's got some external parasite, and that's causing it to swim around and sort of try to get away from what's ever bothering it. So the fact that I never really see this fish out and about, and when I do see it out on the glass, which I do occasionally, it's always down near the bottom. I just never really see it up on the glass in the side of the tank like this. So I find that kind of interesting, and I did just put the medication in the tank this morning. It's been in there for 2 days, and then today was the second dose. It gets 2 more days, and then I'm done with the treatment. So I never reacted this way from the first treatment, and it's just API General Cure is what I'm using, so it's not anything elaborate that I'm using. It's not like it's a super sensitive fish or anything, so I'm probably just worrying myself unduly, as I usually do, but I've been having different issues going on with this tank. My regular viewers will know, and so I'm a little hypersensitive to anything even slightly out of the ordinary. Just sends alarm bells off for me. But anyway, there you go. There's a nice good long look at my chocolate zebra pleco, or one of them. I still have 3 of them in this tank, so that's one of the 3. And possibly that could be the female. It certainly had a big fat belly, and they were digging out a cave. Could it possibly be that she's got eggs, maybe, and that's where the unusual behavior is coming from? I don't know. So it turns out I actually did have something to talk about in this video after all. There's a good look at my chocolate zebra pleco. So the only other thing I was going to say is, as far as what's going on in the fish room right now, I'm thinking about doing some work on this tank. This tank just looks terrible right now. This is like just a neglected tank for me, and I know it's neglected. I just never pay attention to it. I feed this fish, and that's it. That fish just doesn't do anything. There's no interest. There's no excitement. So I'm thinking about making some changes. I don't want to get rid of that fish, but I'm trying to decide if there's something I can do, because I'd love to use this 40-gallon tank for something where I'd actually, pay attention to it and spend some time getting it cleaned up and getting those plants looking good in there. Everything in here just looks terrible. It's covered in all this. It's all dead now. I'm not even gotten the camera where I'm showing you. I've done the cyanobacteria treatment for the ChemiClean, and so all this is dead. All you can see, it wipes right off. So all I have to do is actually get in here and finish cleaning it. I did the treatment, let everything get done, and then I needed the air stone because I wanted to medicate that tank. So as soon as the ChemiClean treatment was done, I pulled the air stone out, stuck it in that tank, and then I've just haven't gotten around to actually cleaning this tank. But it's been ChemiClean, it's been treated. I just have to get in there now and clean all that stuff out of there. I mean, you saw how easily it wipes away and leaves just nice bright green stuff in there. So all that stuff's dead and ready to be wiped away and ready to get cleaned up. And again, this is just a tank. I just don't care about it. The water's fine. If I tested the nitrates, they'd be where they always are, into the red, but not exorbitant. And that's just where they always sit. So again, the fish are fine. It just looks like bloody hell. So I don't know. The one thing I am considering doing is taking this tank, my little foot tank here, and either removing everything that's in there, taking out the partition and all that, and then putting the gudgeon in this tank, and then I can just, have a 20-gallon open-top tank down here, and then I can put all those other little fish and shrimp somewhere else. Or I think I've got another 20 long somewhere. I could actually leave this tank intact. I don't know where I'd put it, but I could actually leave that tank intact and then simply put that gudgeon in another 20 long somewhere, along with the little catfish that hides in the bottom. Neither one of those fish need swimming around room or a lot of space or anything, so a 20 long would be fine for it to just hang out and wait for food, because that's all it does. It sits still and it does nothing at all until I feed it, and then it eats its food, and then it goes and sits still again. So it doesn't need a lot of room. And I'd have another 40-gallon tank that I could do something cool with, rather than have some eyesore of a 40-gallon tank sitting over there that I completely ignore, because I literally ignore it. I barely ever even think about that tank, other than to just look at it and kind of sigh and just sort of acknowledge how gross it looks, and then I move on because I just don't feel like doing anything with it. Again, I almost feel like, what's the point in getting it cleaned up? It's an empty tank to me. So that's the only two things that have really been going on in my mind as of late. I did add a couple of new plants here. My bird's nest fern is doing really well, a lot better than I was expecting it to do. I've got a lot of new growth coming in on it. And then this is just sitting here. This is a little caladium. It'll eventually get divided up, and we'll put some of them out in the yard, although it's getting kind of late in the year to worry about putting anything out in the yard. So I might just let it sit here until it finishes up, and then we can overwinter it and put it out in the yard next summer. But I mean, that's still sitting in the planter I bought it in. That's just the sort of temporary transplant soil that it comes with. So that's just sitting there. Other than that, not a lot going on. The few odd water changes here and there. Did a water change on my 29 recently. Did a water change and some filter work on this tank. That kind of oddball stuff. Nothing really going on here. So again, I don't really feel like there's a whole point in a official round the world update or anything. But I did want to give everybody a look around, talk about what's going on, what's been on my mind. I got a few other things on my mind I want to sit down in front of the camera and have a chat about. Those videos tend to be a little more popular with people. They're probably my less favorite to do, but if people enjoy watching them more, then, I'll try to do more of those. And as I said, I got a few things on my mind that we can sit down and chat about. Did a big water change on my New World tank the other day, but did not get in there and wipe down the glass or anything like that. I just wanted to get the water changed and cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to be getting in here fairly soon and doing something with this big piece of woodwork. I'm not happy with it. I don't really like it in there. The fact that you can't really even see most of it since I've rearranged it, and most of it is literally just buried under my shrubbery there. So I don't know. Probably going to pull that out of there. I always find cool woodwork out at the reservoir and make little mental notes of where it is to go back and get it. And, heck, if anything else, that just makes for good video of us going out the reservoir to find some good woodwork or something. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just not happy with it. I don't really like the way it looks in there. And if you couldn't tell, it is just about dinner time and everybody is ready and waiting for dinner. So I'm going to go, and I will leave you with one last look at my eyesore tank here and see what you think about my idea of putting that gudgeon in a different tank. I've had it for so many years now, it's got sentimental value at this point. Whether it sits there like a lump or not, it's mine, you know. It's my fish I've had for, I don't know, 5 years or something. So again, not going to get rid of it. I just have to figure out a place to rehome it. And it's, you know, anything even remotely smaller than it, it will try to eat, and anything bigger than it, it will simply be aggressive with. I've already gone down that route. I've tried other fish with it. I've had other fish in this tank with it. I had my big tilapia with it at one point. I had my tenopoma with it at one point. It's this tank. This fish just needs to be in a tank by itself. Or with some really, you know, bigger, mean, aggressive fish that can deal with it. But that's just not my style. I don't want a tank that's full of fish that are tough enough to handle all of the aggression they're going to have to deal with. And I'd just rather avoid the aggression, you know. So, thinking about something to do with this tank. I mean, this fish, so that I can do something with this tank. But I've been thinking about that for a long time, too. It's just kind of on my mind again. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Leave them down below. Make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything. You never know what it's going to be with me. Thanks for watching this one. And I will, of course, see you real soon on the next one.